Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host, Chantele. Francis here. For the first time, you ask and you shall receive is a Love is Blind recap for episodes 1, 2, and 3 of season 6. And with me to break it all down is Tamika. How are you, Tamika? And what are your
I
thoughts?
am good. I am ready to try to tackle this. We're always saying we want to do certain coverage, but we always watch it. We're like, this is too much.
It's hard.
It's so hard when they just drop all the episodes. So.
Yeah. I mean, okay, a really hard reality show to cover in the beginning is The Amazing Race because there's just so many teams and they're doing so many things. And so the beginning of The Amazing Race is really hard, but I've kind of gotten used to it a little bit. And so I have to say it must be the same thing with Love is Blind because there's so many couples and then there's so many storylines and then, bouncing around. There's so many episodes and it was just different. It was something new. I am interested in the storylines. I'm interested in these relationships that are growing. So I think that that's a positive thing for sure. But we're going to kind of speed through these first 3 episodes because it's really not that much happened. We kind of establish what love triangles there are, one proposal so far.
Right.
Or is it 2? 1.
And by 3, it's only like 1.
Yeah. And so we're just going to kind of talk through maybe the couples and the relationships that we see building. Have you seen past episode 3 or are you voting to watch up to 3?
I've watched up to 6.
Okay. So
I've been avoiding the drop that happened today. I've been dodging. I have a tweet on there that me dodging all the spoilers for today, which is hard because I'm on Twitter. Like I'm about to share this stream on my Twitter, but no.
We're going to try to pick it up. Like Tamika, you were saying that you might be able to do 3 episodes on your channel tomorrow.
Yep.
So we'll probably do that. And then maybe on Friday, we can do 3 more on mine. Yep. And then we are almost caught up. No. We have, how many did they drop today? 3?
3.
So we would be on episode 9?
Yes. It should be 3 more episodes.
So by then we will be caught up. Yeah. So bear with us. Hi, Glenda. Thank you for being here and supporting us here. And yeah, it'll be helpful probably with people commentating from the chat, just because it's the beginning of this is a little bit more challenging than when you know who's a couple and who's together. Yeah. So what are your first thoughts then maybe about these couples? I mean, we start the season, Love is Blind, with Vanessa and Nick speaking to the men and speaking to the women. How do you like them as hosts? Are you happy that they came back? Were you optimistic about the season?
Well, I knew they're coming back because I think they are contracted at least through like season 9 or something like that, and they recorded this season and the next season back to back. I think there was a mini trailer for season 7 when they dropped season 6's trailer. So which to me, I said at the time, to me it didn't bode well for this season actually having any couples that actually work out, because why you previewing season 7 along with 6,
right?
Sorry. And so it was, I knew that they were coming back. I personally am not the hugest fan of them.
Of them as hosts, yes.
They could be better hosts. I have watched a lot of the international seasons, and so I've watched Japan. I'm currently trying to finish up Sweden. I've watched like 2 seasons of Brazil. The hosts in those other countries they just are more, and it's not always couples. It's like just they bring a little something more than what I feel like the Lachey's bring here, especially once we get to the reunions usually,
Right.
because I guess their directive is not to push, it's to, like last season, they allowed the one couple that, to me, I don't feel like anybody should emulate. I don't feel like anybody should prop up. They allowed them to get away with a lot. I
Isaiah,
agree, Isaac.
silence.
I agree. Um, yeah, so it's a there was it's up to 9 episodes today. Yeah, so I agree. Like I feel like there could be a better host. Now everybody wanted Cameron and Lauren, but I don't think that will ever be possible because the Lachey's apparently are supposedly producers on this show. Um, that being said, listen, Andy was a producer and he was a host. And at some point, he had to give up the ghost of one or the other. And then he came back as host. But I'm just saying, like, sometimes you need.
Andy from Bravo?
Yes.
Cohen, okay.
Yeah. Because there was a point where he wore many hats for Bravo. You know that, right?
Well, he was the one that brought like the housewives to
right.
He made it happen. So
and then he gave up part of it, and then he's since brought back.
It's his gig. It's his gig.
It's his baby. But sometimes you do have to like loosen the reins, just loosen it.
I feel. Wait, so who? Like, where did this concept come? Firstly, was it U.S.? It wasn't U.S. I would assume.
Yes.
This is what it was.
Yes, this is actually a U.S. conceptualized reality TV show.
Okay, and good on you, Netflix.
Yes, and through Kinetic. So if you don't know Kinetic, I've been following them a long time because they originally started with Married at First Sight and also the 7-Year Itch. Eventually, they did come out with Love is Blind on Netflix, and they showed that. They also do Claim to Fame. Listen, Kinetic has brought us great product. What happens is they churn them out, erodes the product. They try to go for like flashy, oh my God, shock value. And we don't like.
We want the love story.
We want the love story.
The success.
Yeah.
We want to see this process working. We don't want to see the jerks. In my opinion, maybe that's me. That's why I watched it. That's why I love the first season, because you're like, wow, like this actually worked. And then the fact that they're still together, this is so cool. Like, I want to see it happen again. And now it seems like they're kind of looking for the sensationalism of it as opposed to the love story, which is what it's about. Love is blind.
Right.
We want to see that love is blind. We all want to believe that love is blind.
And that's the same thing they've done with Married at First Sight too. Like they were successful and now they're not.
So hi, Icona. We have some people in the chat here hanging out with us as well. Rocky's here. Rachel. Icona here is saying some people don't like the hosts. I don't really mind them. They sometimes ask curious questions. They could be better. Yes. Yeah, I think the host could be better. I mean, I like both of them enough, but it's kind of like on Love Island, how I really like Maya Jama, but wasn't really a fan of Laura Whitmore. You know?
My God. Considering we've had such crappy Love Island seasons compared to the seasons that we were getting with Laura, Maya Jama is knocking it out the park, And I mean, she even asked the provocative questions that we want to know. That I'm sure the producers are don't ask that question. But I love that she can bring the messy questions that we want onto the thing, even if it means putting some of these people in the hot seat a little bit. So I do love Maya Jama as a host. She, like, of all the things that we got from the last few seasons, Maya Jama as host has been perfection, personally.
So Jessica doesn't think a host is really needed. All they do is say something in between the stages. They need to be more throughout for them to serve a purpose. I think for the most part, that's what the issue is that they don't seem to be that involved in the process. So then they don't ask questions that we care about in the reunion. It's because like they don't seem to know the couples that well. The questions are quite surface level. They don't seem to be, connected to these couples and their stories. And so it's like I could read some notes on like what to ask these couples, but if I've been following them, I got a better question for you.
Correct. And you can tell, I mean, Big Brother, you can tell when a host actually watches the show and does it. So like that is where we're at. And then they just ask surface level questions. I do see in other seasons, on international seasons, the hosts do more of that. They do come on when people want to leave and they ask the questions, and they do the reunion. So you can tell that they're watching the show. It's just different.
And also Caroline Flack from Love Island, original host, you could tell she knew these couples. She loved the show. She loved seeing these people fall in love. And so when she was engaging with them, it was like it was a friend or like a mentor or someone that was supporting their relationships. And so that's something that is, I think, is really, really important in having a host for these type of shows. If you're going to have a reunion that is going to be compelling or that we're going to care about.
Yeah.
Of course you are, Isaiah. You love a good mess.
Isaiah the Twitter troll.
Kanisha, hi. Yes, we are reviewing it. We're giving it a go because it's a little bit more challenging, especially in these beginning episodes with these large drops and finding the time to watch 9 hours of television in like a day and then also recap all these hours of television. So we learned that at the beginning that Jessica has a child. And so what do you think in terms of how she has handled having a child? Like, do you think it's something that she should have maybe brought up sooner? Or do you think that she, brought it up in good timing? Like, what are your thoughts about having a child and going on one of these shows?
Okay, so to be very, very transparent, I applied to Love is Blind season 4.
Woo!
I am a single parent. I did apply. They actually did not take my application. They actually gave me a follow-up application to a different show, which I didn't apply for because
Why?
Because I felt it was suspect. And when I get casting information and I started,
you think it was like MILF Manor, like
yes. Yes, I absolutely think that is what they were going for, because it was like something about like a tropical island, and then when I looked, I saw casting information for women of a certain age for a tropical island, and then men in their 20s for a tropical island. I don't date 20-year-olds.
I know, but that would have been a good character to be on there being like, I don't want to be here with these young boys.
This is not what I came here for.
You should have done it. Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna quit my job to do a show that I am not I'm literally gonna walk out.
I mean, you could maybe like just be like, hey, I'm just gonna take a 2-week holiday and like just try to get kicked off the show before that or quit.
Well, we'll see if they ever put something out that I'm a cast for, and I'm still single. I'll try. So I actually don't have a problem with a single mom coming on the show. I just thought that and we have seen in international versions, they have absolutely done this. We never meet the child, which I appreciate. And so I have no problem with this. What I had a problem with is, and I know it's conflicting, it's hard. When I started dating after I got divorced, separated and then divorced, you do feel conflicted of when do you tell people you have children? And what I realized and I don't know how much experience Jessica has with this, is you tell them up front. Like that, not saying that has to be first date information, but if you're in the app, it's on your app, right? If you're like having these full in-depth discussions about your children, but the person that is trying to date you should know that they are dating a mom. And I feel like her thing of trying to wait to tell people, and while I understand it's not your personality, but it's important information. They
Mhm.
need to understand what you're bringing to the table.
I definitely have to agree. And as much as like the fact that she didn't share it, like she's not showing, like she shared the name, but not any pictures of her daughter. And so she is keeping her anonymity pretty sacred.
Right.
But I do think on a dating show, especially of this kind, that kind of transparency goes a long way. Because love is blind, so they're picturing and they're imagining things, and they're kind of picturing what they're gonna do, and maybe they're gonna have the first child together with you. Like they're doing all this envisioning of
Right.
you, and they don't have all the information. And I just feel as though that, regardless of it being something that maybe they wouldn't even have cared about, but it would feel, I think, like a lie, or that they've been kind of had to a certain extent just by not revealing that information a little bit sooner, because they've already kind of imagined you as one thing, and now they have to accept you as something else, when that wasn't like part of like the bargain, when they were starting to get to know you and get to know your heart and starting to envision themselves with you. So I think that it should be something that's brought up a lot sooner,
I
not
agree.
when they get
I,
to
I,
the
I agree.
feelings.
And it's not that you have to have full conversations about it. You just need to be like, I have a child. Um, do you have children? No, you don't have children. Well, she's wonderful. I love her.
How do
But
you feel about like me having a child
the
already?
child,
Like,
right. And then once you move past that, and if they're like, oh, it doesn't matter, good, enough about that. We could talk more about that once we figure out whether this is important for us to move forward. But let me get to know you, and then you move forward. But that is how you gotta be upfront with the information. It I know it brings extra questions if they're like, oh, well, first, wait, do you want to have more children? Of course, you answer that question, but you don't have to focus just on your child. And I know that you could, like, we could just sit here and have full conversations about your child, but you don't have to, but you should be upfront.
yeah, you should be upfront. Okay, so then another question then I want to have then
Mhm.
is Chelsea. So Chelsea, well, she will be more controversial for the fact that she tells Jimmy that she's been told that she looks like Megan Fox, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about the fact that she has been married before, and she did take a little bit of time to say that she is divorced. So what do you think about the timeline for sharing that information? Is it the same, or does it change?
Well, I feel like it really depends on the timing of the divorce. Like, were you divorced 5 years ago? Were you divorced a year ago? I'm divorced, and I was divorced five almost 6 years ago. Um, I feel like it's more important for me to tell people I have three children than, oh, right, like, I'm divorced. I mean, I have had people like, oh, all the same guy. I'm like, yeah, my ex-husband, we're good. We co-parent, they're fine. I'm not looking for a father for my children. I'm looking for a partner. That's it. Like, but if to me, I feel like the child is more important than the divorce thing, because if you divorced and you worked through that and it was 5 years ago, and you're very much removed for it, sometimes I forget that I'm divorced. I don't, I don't even remember. That's the thing. But if you were just divorced a year ago, or the divorce is not even final, yeah, like, let's bring that up, because people need to know that maybe you are still working through. Listen, a year after my divorce I was fine. 2 years after my divorce, I, there was a moment where I just broke into tears thinking about something. Sometimes you can be a little removed from it and still have an emotional feeling about it.
100%.
And so that's the only reason why I would say timing depends on the reasoning.
So Glenna, you're saying that the first dates are more like speed dates, and then you tell them who you want to see again.
Right.
So would you tell them like after the first date round?
Yes.
When you okay, so you wouldn't necessarily share either of these informations before you know that they're interested, kind of thing.
Correct. I would be like, the speak, because I think they literally get like 5 to 7 minutes to talk, and then you let the producers know this is the ones that I'm interested in, because I think they're in the pods for maybe a week or two. And then they decide if they're going to get engaged. After that, you get longer dates where you're having longer conversations, and if you're picked one or two to three guys, yes, then that's when but that's the second day,
Yeah.
right?
Not
And so not the I can understand the first day, no, but if this is like day two, and you're very interested in the guy, these people are saying, I could see myself married to this person. If you can see yourself married to that person, day two, you tell them day two.
yeah, if you feel 100%, because it might come back to hurt you, even though it's not necessarily a big deal. It could be something that they're open to, but it's kind of like that whiplash of like, oh, this is not what I expected.
Yeah,
Like what? Like, and it just changes things up that like it's sometimes people might not be able to recover from having this change of vision of who you are.
absolutely.
So Icona here says they couldn't put themselves in her shoes. Wait, I couldn't put myself in her shoes telling a random man that I'm a mom. I don't know if it's the right choice to say or not, but I will ask questions to see if their view on children.
Well, I mean, I don't feel like it's a random man, because this is potentially your husband to be. That's why I'm saying, like, day one, yes, some of those people are like Matthew coming through every room and asking questions and not sitting there. I ain't telling him shit, right? But I'm saying, if you have conversations and within sometimes, yeah, you and within first 5 to 10 minutes, you can tell whether this has potential or not. That's what I'm saying. If this person is a potential, like that, you could potentially come out of this pod married or engaged to this person, you tell them.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about this cast in general? Do you gravitate towards certain storylines more than others? Is there who you're rooting for and who you're rooting against, maybe right now?
It's so funny. I loved AD, Amber, Desiree, and I
They need to trim those lashes, though. They're just
yeah, yeah.
hair
I know
too
people
long.
were complaining about her hair. You know how I feel about that. But to me, I'm like, okay, the lashes I can understand being like a little critiquey about, but don't critique Black women's hair.
No.
So, but I love her because I feel like she, of all the people, both came into this situation correctly and as flawed as possible. but but human, that makes me like her, right? And then there were some other conversations I kind of wish we, like, what happened, like, where did they go, like, and so, like, I think it's like AJ, some of them I don't remember their names, but it saddened me we didn't see why, like, it seemed like they had a connection, but then it was like we never see them again, and it's like, did it fizzle, whatever. And I do remember in prior seasons, so I've watched season 1, season 2. I never watched season 3 because I was so upset after season 2. And then I did go back and watch season 4 and binge it, and then I've watched live since. Now, season 2, there was a Black guy and a Black woman that apparently had a great connection that fizzled, but we never saw them. And she was a plus size woman. I follow both of them on social media. They're both great people. And he actually ended up moving from Chicago to New York. And I just feel like I wish they would show, even if it fizzles, why, like, I want the journey. I'm okay with the journey. I'm okay with the journey.
Yeah, I mean, it's a show about seeing if people connect. And like,
Right.
I want to see people that don't connect organically. Like, we can have just like a 1 episode arc of a couple. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just see like a whole 30 people having these mini dates and then you never see them again.
Never see them
Because
again.
they're not like the 5 couples that they're choosing to focus on.
Right. And I do feel like they did that this season because there's been so many critiques that we don't get to see everybody. In prior seasons, we didn't get, like, they showed them not even really the first episode. They showed little bits of them and then they never show them again. So I think they did try that this season, but to me, it just made it more interesting. I was like, oh, okay, they liked each other, or they had some funny moment. What happened with that? What happened?
Yeah, I do want to know what happened with some of them for sure. I think though that the cast was this season was seemingly stronger because
Yes.
there seems like there's more people that I'm like, oh, they'd be good together, and there's more triangles that are happening, and so
Yes. I did notice that. There was a
now.
lot more triangles, a lot more chemistry between multiple people.
Now I haven't seen the drops like from I haven't seen 4, 5, 6 or 7, 8, 9,
Mhm.
but I'm surprised with some of like the combinations because I feel like they're both like two of the women are pretty like they're standout like they're you would think that they're both women that would get chosen, and so you're like, oh, it's between you two. I'm like, wow, like this could be
Yeah.
interesting now, and I hope that the person that doesn't get chosen still is able to date somebody else. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay, so what do we think? So we talked about Chelsea a little bit. I guess Chelsea and Jimmy. Maybe I'll put up a picture of Jimmy, so we can remember who these people are. They kind of have a little bit of a flirtation going on. Chelsea is the woman that was married in the past. She also says that she's been told that she looks like Megan Fox. How do we feel about
She
Chelsea?
looks like Megan Fox, and she looks like Megan Fox's first face.
First phase, okay.
So if you're looking at Megan Fox's current face, not necessarily. But if you look at Megan Fox's early entrance into Hollywood face, yeah.
So I don't know if I really like she's fine, but I don't know if I really like her that much. I don't know what it is. I guess she just kind of giggles and laughs and just like I don't really see what the draw is for her
Mhm.
personally with Jimmy. Now I do have some.
Not with Jimmy. I did not see it. I personally didn't think he even really liked her as much. So, like when we're coming down to and it like seems to be between two people and it's like her and him and I'm like, where? But I like her and Trevor so much. They have so much chemistry.
Yeah, let me pull up Trevor. I like Trevor as well. I feel like I know what ends up happening. I might have saw like a little bit of something,
Mm,
but I really like Trevor, and like they kind of connected over the fact that he has a mullet, and like she really likes a mullet, and her personality comes out a little bit more with Trevor, and I
mhm.
like her more with Trevor. I don't care for her with Jimmy personally.
Yeah, with Jimmy, it just feels like every insecurity is there. And with Trevor, it just feels so settled. Like they can move on past the harshness of a relationship. They can have fun, they can banter, they can flirt. I just don't feel that with her and Jimmy.
Um, Yeah, definitely. I mean, I like that he seems really real.
Mhm,
I know he talks in the beginning about the fact that like he has muscles and a mullet, but like people kind of look at him and think that he's going to be a certain way. But I feel like he's kind of a teddy bear, and like I feel like he wants to be open and genuine with love. And I would, if it were me, I'd be wanting to give him a shot if I were Chelsea.
yeah, I mean, n he's definitely not my type, but the conversations that he was bringing, I thought was much better. Much, much better.
Is this facts, Natalie, or is this just
Yes,
what?
he is. It's a spoiler.
Oh, okay. I mean, I kind of saw what ends up happening. So, like, somebody, it was like a caption. So,
Mhm.
um, so I guess we know that it's not going to work out between him and Chelsea
Yeah, we'll discuss that more in
next
part.
draw
Yeah, in
or
the
next.
next
Yeah.
three on my channel. But um, yes, I liked her chemistry with Trevor.
So then there's Jimmy. Um, Jimmy, like, I actually kind of like him,
Hmm.
but I think that when she said that she looks like Megan Fox, I think that he stopped connecting with his heart and started just being like, oh my God, she's really hot, I want to be with her.
Yes.
Something changed with him when she said that.
I think between the conversation of, oh, I have a child, and, oh, I look like Megan Fox, tides turned. Tides turned.
Yeah, but like him and Jessica are such a good match astrologically. Like she's a Capricorn, he's a Scorpio. That's a pretty good combination. He loves her voice, even though she thinks she sounds like Fran Drescher. But she
Can,
feels good about him, and he
can
feels
I
good
say
about her.
something?
Go ahead.
I think he was willing to maybe, I think the child thing put him off, absolutely put him off. But then she said, I want to have more children, I love being a mom. But I think when she said that she was in foster care, had all those issues with her family, I think that's when he was just like, nah, this is not going to work.
Yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate that she's kind of had she's just had a lot of hardships in her life so
Mhm.
far, and I respect the woman that she's come. She seems like she's a wonderful, loving mother. I think that she's really, really become an amazing person, in spite of what she's experienced in her past, and it's probably because of what she experienced in her past that she's able
Absolutely.
to be such an amazing person. But yeah, I do think that it's a little bit unsettling for somebody that's not super evolved to want to be with somebody that has so many things that
I
she's
don't think he wanted to take the problems on. And it's unfortunate because, as you said, I do think they had the best chemistry between her, like, without looking at her. And she's hot, right? Without looking at her, I do feel like their conversations were better. I do feel like there was more chemistry in her conversations to Jimmy. Um, he screwed the pooch in that he did not take the experience for what it is. That is the point of the experience. The experience is to be okay with not seeing someone and being okay with them showing you their real flawed self, and being okay with taking it or be upfront about it. I don't feel like he was even as upfront with the fact that I think her having a child.
his silence was deafening, and
Yes.
then like yeah, no, it's fine,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
um it, he wasn't he's not old enough. Like how old is Jimmy? Like 27? We say that age, yeah, he's 27 years old. That's a pretty young age to take on a 10-year-old daughter. Like she's about to be a teenager
Yeah.
and you haven't even
It's
turned
not,
20
listen,
yet.
it's not for everybody. And I know, listen, I know men who've done it, amazing fathers, have children with that woman, and then, continue to be an amazing father and stepfather. They don't even call it stepfathering. That's their child. And I know people who just can't do it. Case in point, Monique's husband. So it just, for some people, I feel like it takes, it shouldn't, but sometimes it does take a heart of gold to do it. Look at Russell Wilson. Like, his mother told him, she had the child, right? And he's like, yeah. She's like, so if you can't handle that, exit now, leave it now, because that child has to be your child in
Basically.
order for you guys to be successful. And that is what he decided. He said, you know what? Future is mine as much as hers. And that is how we have seen it since that day.
So what did you think about also Jessica asking him if it was her that asked him if he was willing to go around and take photos of for Instagram for her? It was her, right?
I think so too. I was just like, girl, why are you throwing that at him? Or did she ask Jimmy or she asked somebody else? I can't remember who was sitting there when she was
Oh my God,
asking.
there's too many conversations.
Yeah, but she was definitely the one asking. And I was just like, wait, like, That's a
Oh
priority.
no, I think it's Jimmy and Sarah Ann.
Oh, it's Sarah Ann. Okay, I knew it was somebody with dark hair.
Yes. Oh, so Jimmy. So wait, who's okay? So Sarah Ann, I forgot about her.
Yes, he had a connection with Sarah Ann, and
So he has
somebody
two
asked it.
connections. Okay.
Yeah, he had a really big connection with Sarah Ann, but I do think the social media thing might have turned him off.
Hold on, let me see if I can pull up Sarah Ann as well.
And she's
And then
gorgeous.
we'll go to Jessica's Jimmy's other person,
Yeah.
right? Where's Sarah Ann here? There's too many people right now.
Mhm.
And too many people I don't. Is Sarah Ann not even like on like the first cast here?
She's not a real factor.
Okay, here she is.
She's gorgeous though, but she's
So Sarah Ann had conversations with Jimmy also. I think that's the only person that we saw her talking to. Oh, she talked to Nolan.
yeah.
With about the taco meat. And I'm like, isn't the taco meat comment for chest hair, isn't that a black man thing?
Is it? No.
I
I
thought
don't.
it was like like for curly hair, representative of curly hair, chest
But
hair.
I think white guys have curly chest hair. They might not have.
Small curly.
Yeah, I know. They might not have like curly hair on the head, but I've seen white guys on like in images with curly chest hair.
Like really? I've never, it's never that kind of curly.
Mm.
Like super small curls. But anyways, whatever. Maybe it does resemble but he doesn't even have dark hair. Anyways, I didn't think that he would have chest hair that would resemble taco meat, but he does, and he shares that with Jessica or Sarah Ann, and she found that really to be funny. Now, I really thought that it was wild for Sarah to, yeah. See, Jessica only heard it referencing black guys.
Yeah, never even realized it was then because I've definitely seen non-black men with it.
I mean, I need to see it. Someone send me a photo of a non-black man that has chest hair that resembles taco meat. I would like to see it. So she talks about how she wants basically to have an Instagram boyfriend, being like, so how do you feel about like going around and like if I ask you to take a picture, will you take a picture of me for like my social media? I'm like, even if you want that, like I don't know, you don't lead with that. But I guess it's a new age, right? It's so far from what I would be leading with. Because I would be so embarrassed. Be like, oh my god, can you just take a picture of me? I need to update my Instagram. But like not walking around like taking photos of my girlfriend. It's so embarrassing, I think.
I would
ask, I'm sorry.
I would ask, are you okay with me taking pictures of my food?
Of your food. Okay, you can take pictures of your food.
Right? Like, are you going to be okay that because I'm a foodie, I take pictures of everything. Are you going to be okay with me taking pictures of my plate? Everywhere.
The food is fine. I think it's like you standing in front of the store,
Right,
and you standing in front of the beach, and you standing in front of like the palm tree, and you standing in front of the sign post. Like it's like that. Like, oh, can you get down a little bit, honey? Oh, can you up a little bit? Like, yeah. But it's a new world. They're all influencers now, and so it's a different generation for sure. So he asked her how many followers she has. Like, I think she said 4,000 on Instagram, and he was shocked by that. 4,000 is not that many. It's a significant amount, but it's not that many. He only has people on his Instagram that are his like friends and family. He doesn't follow anybody that he doesn't know. Because was it her that's worried about? No, it's Jessica. Never mind. But she has 31,000 followers on TikTok,
which I think is still fairly okay. Like,
I know a lot of people that have about that on TikTok, and they just
it's only me who have like none.
It takes a lot of effort to.
It does. Somebody was like, I'm like, I came up with a really good TikTok that I want to do, but it's just trying to find. I keep telling people, I don't know. My age might be showing with TikToks. I just so the face.
It takes a lot. I mean, I prefer doing TikToks than doing Instagram stories and reels and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely a commitment that I don't feel like having be part of my life. So she is a lot more conservative, and I thought that this was a very interesting for her to be so open about, talking about how she does have some friends that are a little bit more left, but that she's quite right. When I hear that, it just, to me, it sounds a little bit closed-minded, and it made me kind of wary about her to be so openly conservative.
Yeah, that's when I was like, oh, beautiful girl, I'm checked out.
Yeah. Talk a
I
little bit about this might be a little bit of a trigger warning, but the conversation around abortion, and he had a decent response with, I don't feel like men should be telling women what to do with their bodies. And
Mhm,
she responds by saying, like, I don't feel like it should be used as a form of birth control, but I
mhm,
understand if somebody is put in a position where they may have been raped or been assaulted and it ended up in a pregnancy, then that's okay. And I kind of, like, I get where she's coming from, but I also don't think that anybody should be able to mandate that choice from a woman. It's
right,
something, sometimes things happen, and I do think that women should have the choice, and it shouldn't be like a law. You know what I mean?
right.
Like, anyways.
My whole thing is, Sarah Ann, what business is of yours either way?
Yeah,
It your own body, you don't do it.
exactly.
That's it. That's how it's so simple. So simple. Your body, you don't do it. You don't want to use it as a form of birth control, you don't do it. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with you. Like, who am I to decide what is right for somebody else?
Yeah.
I can only choose. I can only have any sort of power in what's right for myself, and nobody, especially the government, should be mandating what I can and cannot do with my body for whatever reason that I choose, whether it's valid or not. And like, I can get into a huge conversation about like why they want to get rid of it, but that's not meant for this
This,
pod
yeah,
here.
no, definitely not.
So just kind of, since we're on that same conversation, so Jessica and Jimmy do talk about social media a little bit, but he started the pod, this particular pod meeting or pod date, with him cracking his knuckles, and she really doesn't like it, and she asked him if he's doing it to get under her skin, and he kind of says that he was. I don't think he was, but I think that he probably felt defensive about it, and he was just
Yeah,
kind of being like, "Oh, I did it on purpose."
yeah.
What do you think about that interaction?
I just felt like, well, first of all, why would he be doing that to get on your skin? Did you guys have a prior conversation that we don't know about that you said that that bothers you? But from his reaction, it sounded like this was just new information, and so some people, like, if you antagonize them, they're gonna be like, yeah, of course I did that. Because, like, where's this coming from? Why would I do that? Like, it, like, sarcasm. Like, why in any respect would I do that to you? I didn't even know that would be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, if it only would make sense if they had a prior conversation, because she says like that's like an ick. That's like an ick. Um, I think that he was offended a little bit
Mhm,
and kind of hurt by the fact that like something he was doing was an ick, and he was just
mhm.
trying to like take his power back, being like, "Yeah, I was doing it on purpose." But I don't think he was. I think he was just kind of nervous, and it was like a habit, and she kind of called him out in a way that wasn't that loving, you know?
Yeah, it was like, at this point, it's like Sarah Ann might be just a bit of a stick
This
in the
was
mud.
Jessica.
I'm sorry, Jessica might be a stick in the mud, because then what didn't she continue, and she's like, you can't do this and you can't do that, and like, I think there was parts of their conversation, and she started being like, you can't do this and you can't do that, and I was like, oh, Jessica, like,
Yeah, she started talking about how you like he's her first round draft pick. And
mm-hmm,
so he can't be following anybody else on
Yeah.
Instagram. Like he can only have eyes for her,
Yeah.
which I get, but like get a little bit. No, it's no.
I personally don't like that, because my whole thing is, if your person can't follow somebody else that they never interacted with, even if they sent them heart eye emojis, right? Like they never met them in person. Why are you so insecure about that?
Especially like if it's not somebody that's like in like your circle, like he's likely never going to meet this person. Like, what do you care about the fact that like he thinks that she looks good in a photo?
I don't. I personally don't agree with that, and I just feel like that's being a little bit controlling. Hey, Danita.
Hi, Danita. Yeah, this is going to be kind of a quick one. We're going to talk for about 20 more minutes about like these couples, because this is kind of the best that we can do until we're in these solid relationships, and then we can do some more analysis. But right now, we're just kind of getting to meet everybody. We're just doing the first 3 episodes, kind of however it comes out. Whatever happens right now. I thought it was funny. Laura, okay, Laura's a blonde woman. We don't see her that much. Laura does talk to Jimmy a little bit about the sleep apnea machine.
That he did not bring.
That he did not bring. Who doesn't bring it? Like, if that's something.
My ex-husband.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Go on.
Often. Needed it. Hardly ever brought it anywhere.
Why?
Don't
Those are expensive machines.
Don't get me started.
It was his snoring part of the
Oh, well, listen, when I was pregnant with my last son, I literally could not sleep in my bedroom. I literally, like, it grated on my nerves that much. I slept in the living room. Normally, I don't have a problem with somebody snoring. I can do, but for some reason, when I was pregnant the last time, I couldn't take it. I could not take
like,
it.
Done.
No.
Yeah. Hormones are out of control here. I thought it was interesting. I don't know if she called it eye fucking, but she was teaching people how to like seduce someone from across the bar. I thought that was kind of funny because like I actually know people that are really, really good at this.
Yeah.
One girl, she used to be like, there's a way that she can eye fuck a man and like she'll have them like come up to her like and almost basically fall in love with her like first meeting. So I thought it was funny that she was saying that. So she's dating Jimmy. Who else is she dating? Is that it?
No, there was one other person, but there's some of them where the connections trailed off and they trailed off and I can't remember.
Okay, I did write this down. So she's also talking to Jeremy. Now I don't remember.
Yes, Jeremy. Yes.
With the interesting name spelling.
Yes. And I think Jeremy was also talking to Sarah Ann, right?
Correct. Yes. Okay, so let's get to Jeremy just to remind us what he looks like. Who's Vince? Sorry, I just saw like I'm rolling to the cast and like
somebody they never found.
Vince, who's Drake. We do see Ariel for a second, but he's cute too, and like we don't really see him that much. Okay, so here's Ariel. Ariel's wearing glasses in the pod though, or Jeremy's wearing glasses in the pod, right?
Yeah.
He's kind of goofy and silly a little bit. But Laura does get a little bit jealous with Jeremy because when she came into the room to meet him once, he says Sarah's name. And that was the first name that he kind of had on his mind. And so she was slightly offended by that, but then he kind of eased it over.
He cleaned it up. He cleaned it up a bit.
But when we hear after him talking to the other guys, it seems as though he likes Sarah more than Laura.
Yeah.
Seems that way. Do we learn anything more about him? I didn't write that much about Jeremy.
Not really. That's what I'm saying. I feel like the first episode, we got a lot of Jeremy connection content. And then as we trail off, it's just like trail. Like, not much.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't have anything about him. I put Jeremy and Laura, he likes Hawaiian shirts. Thick neck. The thick neck conversation was actually very funny, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because he had to like explain the fact that like, well, I don't have like a thick neck, because Laura was picturing him having this like really thick neck wearing a Hawaiian shirt, but he's like, no, he just doesn't like the regular size of like the Hanes shirts that he enjoys wearing because
Mhm.
it's too tight and it kind of rubs up against his neck. But that was kind of funny. And then we learned that, obviously, like I mentioned, that Laura got a little bit jealous when Jeremy said the other person's name, but they seem to have gotten over it decently quickly. And I think that's all we learned out about those two.
Right. Yeah. The first 3 episodes, it was like introductions, and then they just like some of the couples they don't pick back up. When you get to the next set of episodes, they'll pick them back up. But like the first episode is where they focused on, and then we don't see them. Like it trails off the next 2 episodes for them to focus on the other storyline.
We didn't talk about AD very much yet, and she, I think, was one of the biggest stars of this first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, where's her picture? Okay, there's AD. I mean, you already mentioned that you really like her. I really like AD as well.
Mhm.
I feel as though
I have that dress, I think. Yep, I think I have that dress in 2 colors.
you're gonna go as AD for Halloween.
I don't know if she has the pink or the brown one.
So AD is kind of in a little bit of a love triangle. She likes Clay and she likes Matthew. Now Matthew, for me, has been a little bit problematic with like
A
how
little.
Matthew.
A little.
Well, he's the fact that she's was into him. I was very very surprised by. With him talking to other women, he was not. He was saying like, oh, pick a number, and I have questions for all these numbers. And then as soon as they want to ask him a question back, he doesn't want to answer it. And I'm just like, who do you think you are? Like, I didn't really respond very well to him. And then
Mhm,
even in the beginning when him and AD were talking, you could
mhm.
see that she was got the ick or was turned off. And then he somehow was able to get her back on board.
I don't know what the conversation was that we missed, that all of a sudden it was like AD and Matthew, but I feel like there was a conversation missed. And I feel like they did that on purpose to make it seem like maybe he wasn't playing her, right? Because he was playing her.
Yeah. So do you think that he was just fully all just trying to get multiple women to want to be with him and then he was going to choose nobody?
No, I think he wanted to make it seem like he was interested in multiple types of women, and
Oh.
then and get women to want him and have a storyline, and then he was going to choose someone, but make it seem like, oh my God, look, I was so in love with this person, she was my choice. I do think he was going to choose Amber, the other
Well,
Amber.
yeah. So Amber came out of nowhere and like
Yes,
was
we didn't get one conversation with Amber, but I believe her. I believe he said all the same things to her that he said to AD. I think he thought it was probably too, you know what? I wouldn't put it past him to think that it was cute that he was messing with 2 Ambers.
yes. But he's like, so he's from a small town outside of Boston. And I find it very curious that the show didn't show his conversations with Amber at all, because I
Mhm.
think that would have been interesting to be like, oh my God, this guy actually is saying the same thing to 2 people and they're both falling for it. That would have been like some important information as a viewer that I would want to see when I'm looking at this show, but maybe it made him look too bad.
I think it made him to look too bad, and I think they did it based on what happened last season. I think they didn't do it so that it wouldn't be the end all be all of this entire season, because last season, with everything that happened with Lydia, crazy guy, and
Uche,
I,
Leah.
Leia, I think I just think, oh, Uche, sorry, I just think it consumed the entire season to the point that nobody likes. Well, I'm not going to say nobody because people fight me on it. There are most people do not like the one couple that came out of last season. And I think,
Is the only couple Lydia and Milton?
yes, because that's how bad the season was. And I think if we're going to focus on, there's so many other triangles, I think, that actually end up playing out more towards the end. I think it made more sense to cut Matthew off where they were at. So, but I truly believe he was telling them exactly the same thing. And I truly
The
believe
language
he
was so
did it on
similar.
purpose.
The language is the language is so similar. Like,
Yes.
why he would think that they wouldn't talk or
I
like
don't
figure that
know.
out.
I was cussing them out when they started talking. I was like, why the frick would you think that they wouldn't talk about this?
Maybe he wanted that so that he wouldn't have to.
That is what I'm telling you.
So Natalie wants to know what we think that Matthew came on the show for.
I think the way he was saying, he was like, oh, I want, or maybe he went to producers and because we do know that there were certain things that have been cut out and certain production things have happened in a couple of seasons of this and Married at First Sight where people are suing. So maybe they did cut off Amber's conversation with him not to make him look a bad guy so he won't sue them. But I think he intended on going as far as he could go with this to be a popular person. So whichever way it ended up playing out is the way I think he was going to try to play it. But I think at that point, realizing that Amber, AD had a connection with Clay, I think he was going to choose Amber and then make it so that they're all at the honeymoons together and make it. Yep.
Well, he kind of messed that one up. So we didn't talk about Clay yet. So how are your thoughts about Clay? So Clay is who AD is also speaking to. I think he's a very handsome man, but I do think that he's a little bit uninvolved for the fact that he doesn't seem to want a committed relationship. And he also kind of put AD off by wanting her to explain physically her appearance to him because he needs to know if he's attracted to her. And the fact that she wants him to be attracted to her spirit and who she is as a person, and he can only be attracted to her physically if he thinks that she's hot or whatever, sexy.
Yeah. I think with Clay, I agree with you. I don't think he's evolved as a person. I think he expected the woman that he chose to do that for him. But I also think he's not ready. I think he wants to be ready. I think he probably has been told, like, you're this at this age and you should be ready for marriage. And
he's 30.
And has a lot to offer, but I don't think he's ready and he's forcing it. Now, that's not to say I don't think he had a real genuine connection with AD. I liked their banter. I liked their flirting. I felt so upset for her because I'm like, he's not ready and you need more and you might find out the hard way, unfortunately, after this Matthew situation.
Well, so he kind of learns that Matthew is the other guy involved in their relationship, really. And his reaction to Matthew was like, okay, he's not even like friends with anybody in the group, and like, I'm so different from Matthew, and like that's who I'm like competing with. Like, it definitely took a bruise to his ego for whoever he thinks that Matthew is.
I did not appreciate how he confronted AD about that. I understand not wanting to deal with other people's connections, but you're dating multiple people. And I understand that AD was your only connection, but that is the point of the show. I laughed because he was like to Kenny, he's like, oh, it's be different if it was like you or somebody else. I was like, yeah, it would be different if it was another black man, but I'm competing with this white guy that doesn't talk, is not really I don't think into black girl. I get it, but it wasn't for him to scold her for.
Definitely true. But he does apologize after and be like, and kind of saying that, the way that he acts is a bit of a security blanket, and that he apologizes for kind of coming at her in that way and like making her feel a certain type of way. It hurt him that she was expressing that she was dating someone else, and someone that he didn't feel was equal to
At his
him.
level. At his
Yeah.
level.
And so, but he does apologize for that. And I do think it shows growth. And he mentions it, and they both acknowledge that
Yeah.
his coming back and still wanting to pursue something and still wanting to try to figure it out is showing some growth from, I guess, a week or so before.
Yeah,
So,
he absolutely immediately apologized, and he realized when she broke down that he was wrong, because there's some people who would have saw her crying, saw her upset, and still walked out of the the pods and maybe apologized the next day, but he really did apologize on the spot. So I can appreciate it, and that's what I'm saying. I think he's evolving, but he's using AD in that evolution, and it frustrates me.
well,
that
but you know what though?
she has
It's
to
because
do-
she says that she likes to fix it. She said
yeah,
she's Madam Fix a Hoe or whatever.
yeah,
And Matthew's also someone that she would be fixing as well if that were to continue. Like,
absolutely.
she loved the fact that he seemingly was only opening up to her, and that she was able to see this other side of him. And then you hear with Clay, he's like, he's bringing down his walls, and he's being more emotionally vulnerable. He admits to her that he cried about a situation, and she talks about how, like, oh, seeing a man cry, that shows more strength than a weakness to her. And so I think that both of these men are actually giving her what she needs, or what she
Thanks,
her
sweetie.
red flag.
Yes.
Like, they do give her red flag. And
Yeah.
so these are toxic traits that she shouldn't be going for, because she says that she's always trying to fix someone, but both of these men are offering that up to her. So
Yeah.
I don't think either of them are right for her, but
Right.
at this point, since Matthew decided to go after Amber,
Yeah.
I guess she's going to be ending up with Clay and seeing how they're going to explore this.
I will say, at least she knows. Listen, being aware of your faults, you can eventually correct them. I still don't want her hurt in the process, but sometimes we have to learn the lesson in a harsh way so that we finally correct it.
Did we talk about everybody of note?
I think so. Did we talk about Johnny at all and Amy?
Like, who?
Johnny is Amy's the Puerto Rican girl.
Oh yeah, we might as well, because like they actually got engaged.
Yeah.
So let's
That's
talk.
what I'm saying. That I'm like, they're probably the most important one at the end, by the end of this episode. But and we didn't talk about Kenny and Brittany, but we could talk more. I think their love story develops a little more episode 3 and moving forward. But God.
Okay, so we pull up Johnny. His head's cut off by this weird little thing. So Johnny, I don't really know that much about him. He was definitely, he was really sweet with Amy. He seems to like her, and he actually does go and proposes to her.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Johnny while I look up some notes about him?
I thought he was very nice. I liked their conversations like right after bat, because I think these are one of the first set of conversations we actually started to get, and I think it was very much instant chemistry. And he I think she right off the bat also told him that she moved from Puerto Rico to North Carolina when she was 5, and he accidentally tells her he's in love with her. I believed it. So it's like, their journeys seemed to be one of the most straightforward. It didn't seem like there was really any other like love triangle or anything. Yeah.
So Johnny, well, they both have a little bit of a like towards Japan and animation and anime.
Mm-hmm.
And she said we learned that her mom's from Barcelona. But we also learned that because when she immigrated to North Carolina, that she didn't have any friends, and that her dad had to go around and beg like some of the other children at the church to come to her birthday parties, which is, she's a stunning woman. And so what ends up happening, I find, with women that might have had bullying or anything like that when they were younger, but they still end up being really beautiful, they usually have a heart of gold, and like they're
Mm-hmm.
usually really just like kind spirited people. And I do find that with her, especially with she had prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed to have a little brother. And so
Mm-hmm.
she does have a little brother now. I think she had him when she was 7.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe he is ADHD and is on the spectrum for autism.
Yeah.
But it was like she just loves him so much.
Yeah, and she said that I think she's the one that said that if anything happened to her parents, she would have to like take her brother on, and she is willing to do that, and her partner has to be willing to do that, and that her brother says he looks up to her. I just the entire brother, but that's what I'm saying. Like those are things I feel like you do say day one, day two, so that people understand where they have to meet you at. Because if the situation was that she was talking about her child instead of her brother, that is why you say it. That is why you say it.
100%. Um, So yeah, they had the cute moment where they both said, when he slipped up and says, because I love you, and she's like, what? And like, I do love you, and she's like, I love you too. So it was really cute when she comes back to the group and she's like, yeah, he said that I love you, and everybody's kind of happy for her, and like that must feel really amazing, like to know
Yeah.
that this process is working for you, because everybody's probably going to go in there being like, okay, I know I've seen it work for other people, but is it going to really work for me?
Yeah,
Yeah, and so I really I liked their interaction. And
I
she
did.
does say that she's never dated anybody that wasn't ethnic before.
Right. That I think she usually dates like black men and Hispanic men. So
Mhm.
I did that was of note. But to me, I feel like they had great chemistry, beautiful couple together. Like I don't think, I think they match in looks department. So I think
I think they match as well. And I think she said that her father had a dream that she
Mhm.
had children that had light hair.
Mhm.
So so he proposes to her in the pod, and then at the beginning of the third episode, they go and they see each other, and he proposes to her in person, sees that he has this blonde hair, and so knowing now that if they are to last, that
Mhm.
their children likely would have lighter hair.
Yeah.
So I think they'd have really cute children for
Yeah.
sure. Really
So yeah,
cute.
very, very sweet couple so far. And then the last couple would be Kenny and Brittany.
Kenny and Brittany. Where are we? Brittany. Who's Brittany again?
So she came in and he gave her in episode 3, he gave her a bouquet of flowers. And they're the only other couple that really didn't have like a love
Oh,
triangle.
okay. Yeah.
They very, very
He's a
set up.
principal and she's a school teacher, correct? Well, he's a principal for sure.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, she's, I guess right now she's a senior client partner, but I think she maybe was a school teacher before. They connect on their faith, though, so they both are definitely they go to church, and like I think did he say he's a pastor, or he just speaks at the church sometimes? Can't remember
Well,
if
I
he
think it's like a Christian school. So he
oh,
probably is like maybe a youth pastor or whatever. Like usually that's what happens in those type of setups. So he's the principal of the school, but I think it's also like a Christian school because he's very young to be a principal, to be
mhm.
fair. But I think that's how that happened.
But he does at one point, he puts up these tinkle lights for Brittany, and they do talk about height and race in a way that didn't seem to be taking away from the whole experiment.
Right.
Um,
It's so funny because their conversation about race and I felt like was better. I still don't like it because my whole thing, this is supposed to be a blind experiment. So my whole thing is, if you don't care, just say you don't care, but do you have to like go into such detail about it, right? Like, what do you look like, blah blah blah. But I did feel it was better and more reassuring than the conversation that Clay had with AD, and it was
100%.
there was no like race involved.
Yeah, yeah. um but so he was talking with Ariel, who I hope we get to see more. Do we see more of Ariel in episode 456? I think he's so cute.
Ariel, I
He's
don't even
friends
remember.
with Kenneth, and so they were talking about Brittany and how he pictures her to be a blonde woman.
Yes.
The first white woman that he will have ever dated. So he does propose to her, right? I wasn't crazy, right?
Oh
Kenneth?
yeah. Yeah.
Let me just pull up a picture of Kenneth real quick. Do you remember exactly what he said? It was kind of at the end of this episode, and so I was like kind of rushing around.
Yeah, no, I don't remember.
I am happy though that he is going to get like a woman that seems to be in alignment with what his values and his faith, and it does seem like they get along really well, and I'm hopeful for them as a couple so far.
Yeah, I do think, because he's also said that he never dated a white woman, so I do think though that they just have a lot of common basis that makes it make sense, entering into common values and basis and what they want out of life, that makes it sense why they would connect. And if race is not a factor, makes sense. All makes sense. Chemistry wise, I'm sure.
Not sure yet, but they both are. I want to wait for marriage before
Yeah.
they explore deeper intimacy with each other. So that could also be why we're not seeing that kind of connection, because they don't lead with that,
Yeah.
which I think is great. And one thing that I noticed that Clay did was he said what at one point, like, "Oh, I want to kiss you right now," and I was like, I get it, but that's leading with sexuality, and
Right.
that's taking away from this emotional connection that you're supposed to be building on. Like, it's not just you getting in there and like, doing some sexting and sexy talk and like, get yourself horny for each other. Like,
Yeah.
you're supposed to try to connect with each other emotionally, I would say. And so I thought that was actually Clay deflecting from like the emotional connection and going back to what he was comfortable with, and that's the sexual connection.
Sexual connection. And I do like that he did flirt with AD to see if they could banter, because I do feel like if you can't flirt with me, but to continue it in the pods, I feel like once you guys can have that banter, focus on building the strong foundation of what's your values, who you are, and then go up. That's why I was like, it's very annoying that you're asking about her. And I get it. Somebody was like, well, at least he was being honest. Yes, of course, he was being honest, but don't come on a blind dating experiment if physicality is that much.
Exactly. It's the wrong show for you, for sure, for sure, for sure. Now, there's a couple other couples that we didn't really talk about. They weren't focused on that much this first 3 episodes. So, yeah, we had a little bit of a time crunch, and we got in all that we could. So I think for the future, so this is my note to you, Tamika, because Tamika is going to be taking on episode 4, 5, and 6 sometime tomorrow on her channel on Love is Blind, Entertainment in Color. So make sure you subscribe to her channel, and then put the notifications on so you know when we go live. We'll talk about episode 4, 5, and 6. My suggestion is just do a page and just do all the one couple on the one page.
That was what I was going to tell you before, but it's harder for the first set of episodes because we don't have those, like, we're going through so many couples. Yeah.
So what I was noticing, I'm like, actually it works covering it, just talking about the couples and then the whole situation and just having it all there. And so that's kind of what developed naturally just about talking about it.
Yeah.
But I think it works as a format to be able to take your notes. So
Absolutely. And what I'm going to say we can do once we get to my channel and moving forward, I think then that's when we can start doing predictions, because the point of this show to get to the altar. So do these people get to the altar? If they get to the altar, do we see them lasting? And so I think that'll be kind of how we're covering it moving forward. So I'm excited
yeah,
to
I'm
cover
happy.
it.
And so thank you guys so much for like coming on with us as we kind of muddled through these first 3 episodes. I know generally we do a little bit of a longer, recap. And I think it was just too much information going on. I wasn't sure how to cover it. They probably will be a little bit longer moving forward now that like we got a better structure going.
Yes.
But I think we talked about everybody a little bit. We have a little bit of taste of the couples that we're rooting for, who we think or might be able to get together. And so I'm looking forward to going on this journey with these couples. So thanks, Tamika, for starting this journey with me.
Yes, I'm excited. So I've got to head out. It's my daughter's birthday. We're going to dinner. So I will see you guys tomorrow on my channel, Entertainment in Color, and also for the traders sometime this week. We got to catch up. I know, guys. So that is what we'll be covering for this week. So I'm excited to cover both.
We still did a great job. Yay! Thanks for being here. If you have any other comments or anything like that, please put them in the comment box below. We'll address anything that we didn't talk about tomorrow when we go on Tamika's channel. So anything you want to talk about, put it in the comments and we will continue this conversation there and then on the stream tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Talk to you soon, everybody. Thank you.